ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us your time and allowing my colleague and I from Team 4 to be able to come in and deliver this assessment that we've done to try and regulate some opportunities that we see in the board in partnership with Mr. Cartier. First, we're going to go through today an assessment of the financial situation and see how things are really shaping up and the purpose and the causes behind them. Look at the internal and external factors that are contributing to this, and then the strategy that we feel are is going to be most beneficial to your organization moving forward to try and do that. I think first and foremost, this would be no surprise to any of you, the most critical element here has been our drop in hill visits. Over the past 4 years, we've seen a 28% drop in all of our combined visits of our regular skiers, casual, and our non-skiers. This is what drives our sales. This is our bottom line, and as you can see, it's not headed in the right direction. Everything that we present today is going to be turning this around in an effort that we see as quite a positive effort.
So after seeing 4 years of losses, we thought it prudent to highlight where we need to be in order to make just a single dollar. Based on our current expenses, we need to basically 55,000 visits just to turn a single dollar of profit. We do believe this is manageable. Before I move on, I'm going to highlight the fact that we are a very highly leveraged business. We have very limited variable costs relative to our total costs. Now what this means for us is that volume makes or breaks us. So the more our volume drops as it has been previously, the more we're going to have magnified losses. If we bring it back up quickly, it's not going to be as difficult to return to profitability, so that's our major concern going forward.
Now, I know that many of you had raised concerns about where we stood in the competitive analysis against our competitors with some of our expenses and labor. We did do extensive amounts of research into that. We have found that while we're not completely far away, we are still higher than all of our competitors, and that is a huge concern and an opportunity for us to bring that back down. Through our SWOT analysis, we identified numerous areas where there's good opportunities for improvement. We've identified these in some of our really critical elements that we see from this. The first one, and an unusual strength, is the fact of, because of our recent shrinkage in our size over the past several years, we don't have any challenges with our expansion. We don't have any capacity issues, and we have no capital expenditures that are going to be really required up until a certain point. Moving over into our weaknesses, our cash constraints. That is going to be echoed throughout the entire presentation. That prevents us from dealing with issues of our expansion, especially when looking at our opportunity of the high levels of ski tourism happening right now, as well as the challenge of our high level of debt as our serious threat. This needs to be taken very seriously and looked at in a way that we can actually go and attack this.
Kind of the major issues arising out of our SWOT analysis, looking at an overhead view, was primarily the fact that there seemed to be a lack of direction from top leadership. And that kind of seemed to yield the fact that they hadn't positioned the company to use its competitive advantage to return a profit, essentially. Now, part of that may be due to the fact that we may require a change in management. We've had management focus on one strategy for the last several years, and we have not seen a return in those several years. It may be time for something of a shift, especially given the fact that with the aggressive turnaround strategy we are suggesting, that the current GM may not have the experience required. Also a major concern, also touched on by my colleagues, the fact that we have increasing debt levels that have increased significantly over the last 4 years. Primarily, this is due to the fact that we just simply haven't had profits and thereby cash with which to pay these back. Also, a further concern is the fact that we currently have an entirely unstructured agreement with the previous owner regarding an actual mortgage for the land on which we operate of almost $2 million. This is something of a concern going forward as well.
Our strategy is quite direct and we feel quite powerful in this effort. So repositioning the company within these segments is going to allow us to really turn a market turnaround and start turning profit as quickly, even faster than we thought possible. First, by turning the previously community resort, and maintaining that community feel by boosting our sales and boosting our seasons passes, but turning it into a destination resort and allowing people from our tourist destination and that market that we've identified to be able to come here. Second is, before we can really truly start addressing all of the other issues, we need to have a clear vision and come together as a group and have the board and have all of the leadership team working towards that before anything else can be achieved. Without that vision, nothing will be able to be accomplished.
So, as my colleague mentioned there, our primary goal with our repositioning strategy is to transition into an actual destination style of resort. However, we did look at other alternatives, primarily being competing against our direct competitors using aggressive pricing strategies. The one we considered was reducing our prices to increase volume and thereby profitability. We investigated this and we found that it does actually realize an increase in profitability, not enough to return us to being profitable, but it is an increase. However, our competitive advantage as a company lies in the fact that we have more challenging and diverse runs that our customers are willing to pay a premium for. It's counterintuitive to go with a low pricing strategy, given that that is not our advantage. We also looked at potentially entering the high-end market by purchasing higher quality capital assets and investing in luxury services. However, as mentioned by my colleague, we do have some cash constraints and limited ability for financing at the moment, thereby making this not viable at the current time. Kind of to just touch back on why this seems like the best strategy for us at the current time is that it offers the ability to retake market share in our local market, as well as position us to take a large chunk of the foreign tourist market that has now become a big player in the ski resort industry in the New York State area. First off, this allows us to really increase our upfront cash through seasons passes. With limited customer loyalty in the area, our market studies suggest that even a 30% drop in price on seasons passes will result in a 50% increase in volume. Given the fact that we have limited variable costs, we can easily take a 30% hit on price for the increase in volume, and the result will be a positive increase on our bottom line. In this case, almost $20,000 just from the seasons pass holders. And those seasons pass holders are going to bring in friends and family who are going to purchase day passes and then visit other amenities just to accompany them up to the hill, which is we expect will actually have an overall effect of almost $300,000 in the following year, which is a lot of upfront cash that we could really use right now. Kind of to move on from that, I'm just going to I'll come back to that after. We had to kind of look at our local market and say, okay, can we have sustainable growth? Can we return to being profitable with our current market? And the result was, after we looked at it, that we projected only about 50,000 visits, given our current market share, were possible from just our local market and the surrounding area. If you remember back at our break-even slide there, we needed 55,000 just to make $0. So unless we can somehow take back market share or shave off our fixed expenses, our local market can't even return us to profitability, let alone provide sustainable growth in the future. So kind of to come back to, okay, what's our cash cow going to be? This is our foreign tourism right here. 4 million tourists visit the New York State area specifically to ski every year. We are the 5th largest city in the New York State area, and we're also known as a ski destination. It is by no means a big stretch to say that a large portion of that should be visitors coming to our resort, so long as we can make it attractive for them. We put this together briefly just to illustrate what we could potentially be seeing in revenues. Given that these tourists are going to be staying at hotels, they're going to be going to the restaurants, they're going to be spending more on secondary revenue streams, we believe that they offer a significant boost in revenue, even for similar ticket purchases, anywhere between about $2.8 and $2 million, which can result in a bottom line increase, given that we are so highly leveraged, of $910,000 to $1,470,000, a vast difference from the current net loss we see today. To conclude, I think, and me and my colleague come up with a repositioning strategy that certainly allows for a return to profitability, and by no means over a long period of time, but we do need the strongest leadership possible going forward with this initiative. Given that, we believe that the current general manager does not have the experience necessary in terms of just aggressive turnaround, but we do believe his experience and previous working with the company are very valuable. We would offer him a position on the board and bring in somebody else to handle his current position. I'll pass it off to my colleague just to handle one last issue.
One of the issues is all of you have been very involved in supporting the organization and moving forward, buying sponsorship to help keep cash flow there. This can present as an ethical challenge moving forward, as it does challenge us to be able to make sure we're doing the best for each side. So that would have to be addressed moving forward. But other than that, we do thank you for